Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the first video in a series on the Zastone D9000. Now, the first thing you may notice is this is very similar to the popular ICOM 2820. And over the next few videos, we're going to look at all the features and benefits that this radio has to offer and really see how it compares to the ICOM 2820. So, just some top-line features on this radio. It's a dual-band transceiver with multiple receive-only bands. It has a dual VFO which can be used both together or as a single VFO, and the VFOs both have independent volume and squelch controls and both can receive simultaneously. It has quite an interesting cross-band repeater function and a same-band repeater function, which we'll cover a little bit in more detail in another video. It has dual mic and dual head unit connectors which can be used in either configuration depending on which hand the operator uses or which side of the car you're driving on. It's got a detachable remote head unit with magnetic connectors, and it comes with a metal plate for mobile mounting as well as a separation cable, and this can be placed in the lower position or moved up depending on how you want the radio mounted. It's got 3 speakers, so one's in the main body on the top and the 2 others are in the remote head unit, unlike radios such as the TYT 9800D which just has one in the main radio body. It's got 512 memory channels, 3 power levels, so high on UHF is 40 watts, high on VHF is 50 watts, and then it's got a mid-power setting of 25 watts and a low power setting of 5 watts. It's got FM transmit to output audio onto your stereo in your car. It's got CTCSS and DCS scanning, a multicoloured backlight which you can change between red, green, blue, purple, white and so on. It's got weather alerts, so depending on which country you're in, they could be quite handy, and it's fully PC programmable. So there's plenty of other features in this radio. I'm just going to go through top line in this video, and in the next few videos in the series we're going to look at them in a lot more detail. Okay, so we've got the radio out of the box here, and if we just have a look at the radio itself, you can see at the front has got volume and channel select knobs, and these both also press to select certain functions, and these are on both sides of the radio. It's got 8 buttons along the bottom which control different functions and settings, which again we'll cover in more detail in the second part. It's got quite a large dot matrix display which changes colour from purple, red, green, blue, white. As you can see here, that's fully customisable. You can sort of fade these colours in and out. It's got LED indicators on the front as well, so you can see whether you're transmitting or receiving. Behind the remote head are 2 head unit connectors. These are 8-pin RJ plugs, and there's also a TNC data jack there as well. And as you can see, you can plug the remote head unit in on either side of this, so that will decipher which side you have the microphone on. The side of the radio has connector sockets for the head unit and microphone, and as I say, these are interchangeable, and there's also screw holes here for mounting the supplied mounting bracket. And these connectors are also used for plugging in the programming cable as well. On the back you'll notice the 2 antenna sockets there, 2 speaker jacks and an ACC plug, and this is for an optional cable which keeps the radio turned on when the car ignition is turned off. But you can get around this by just wiring this straight into your fuse board in the car into a fuse which stays powered when the ignition is turned off anyway. Now the second antenna on the ICOM 2820 is for diversity receive, and on this radio this is for the same band repeater function. And we are going to test this in the next video to see exactly if and how this actually works, but it's good that they've thought to put a secondary antenna in there, but again I'm not sure how this is going to work. It comes with a DTMF microphone, and it's got an up and down button on the top. It's got emergency buttons on the top as well. It's got a main band key, receive and transmit indicator lights and a numbered keypad, and the function button when pressed before a number accesses various settings in the menus. Now, transmit and receive on this is quite wide, so A and B band receive is 136 to 174 MHz, 200 to 260 MHz, 400 to 470 MHz, and 470 to 520 MHz. B band receive is 64 to 108 MHz FM and 113 to 137 MHz AM, which is for airband. And then B band transmit is 136 to 174 MHz, 400 to 470 MHz, and 470 to 500 MHz. So as you can see, it's quite wide banded. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you get this radio is program it. I will show you through some of the menus and stuff in further parts of this video, but it's far easier, like with most radios, to program this via a computer. Okay, so I've plugged the radio into the laptop using the programming cable, and I went to Zastone's website and downloaded this HPG 68D programming software. This is for the Zastone D9000. Now, when you launch the programming software, you'll see it's very, very similar to a lot of other programming softwares that are out there. So I'm not going to go into massive detail on this, but I'll just show you how to program a couple of frequencies in. So first, if you want to do a simplex frequency, we put in the frequency we want. Now, because it's a simplex frequency, we don't need to select a duplex, so we can just keep that as off. Offset is tied to duplex. Because we've got that set to off, we don't need to put anything in here. We can leave that at 0.6, but if it makes you feel better, just put 0 in. Now, we don't want, because we're on 2 meters here, we don't want a transmit or receive CTCSS or DCS tone, so we can leave all those two off. Transmit power, you can select here, so we've got high, middle and low. Now make sure you program this in line with your licensing conditions. You can add this to a scan group. You can select between wide and narrow, so you've got 12.5 kc narrow deviation there, 20 kc deviation for wide and 25 kc deviation for wide there as well. And you've got an optional signal tone there, so you've got DTMF tones, 2-tone signaling and 5-tone signaling, which is basically a way of identifying the radio if you're in a network. Now you can add alpha tags to this. If we click on more, that will open up a box, and there's other little settings that you can change in here, and in this bottom box here we can name that, so we'll just put S20 in there and click close, and that's a simplex channel programmed in. For a repeater, it's slightly different, but still very simple. We put the repeater's output frequency in, so the frequency we listen on. So in this case, we'll use 433.350. Duplex, we've got plus or negative duplex. So for this repeater, it's a plus, and the offset is 1.6 megahertz. So that will automatically program the radio for the transmit and receive frequency. Now, we want to encode a CTSS tone, so if we click on CTCSS encode type and click on CTCSS, we can then go into the drop down box and select our CTCSS tone that we want. So in this case it's 82.5. All the other settings are the same, and again if we click on more, we can name this, so we'll call this GB3MR. Click close, and from a frequency point of view, that's all you need to do. When you want to write information to the radio or take information from the radio, you click on program, and we've got read and write settings there. You just need to make sure that you set your communication port right. Now the programming cable should be recognised when you plug this in. We've got some optional features here, so if we click on that, you can see we've got A and B band settings here. So we've got squelch level, radio work mode, so whether you're in memory mode, VFO mode or calling mode. You can select your channel number which you want as your main channel. We've got all sorts of settings here. We've got the weather channel settings here, should you be in a country that has weather alerts. And you can also change the backlight values here. So if we turn red off and we turn blue off, we're going to get a green backlight. If we put blue to full and we turn green off, we're going to get a blue backlight. If we put blue to 10 and red to 10, we're going to get a purple backlight, and so on and so forth. And there's other settings for the backlight here. We've got same settings here for band B, and then we've got squelch tail mode, mic noise reduction, repeater type, so it does same band repeat and cross band repeat, but again we are going to cover that in another video. You can select when you want the fan to come on, so the fan can be on all the time, it can be off or automatically, so automatically is when the PTT is pressed. All sorts of settings in here, guys. I'm not going to go through it in masses of detail, but you can see you've got everything in here that you need to program the radio. Once you've done these settings, you can just click on close, and you can actually print these as well so you can remember what you've used. We've got scan settings here, we've got DTMF settings here, we've got emergency information, so this is for the emergency button on the microphone. We've got receive only memories, so we've got FM bands for radio, we've got AM bands here, and we've got airband, so you can program in your favourite airband frequencies, which I thought was quite handy. We've got embedded message here, so you can put a message on your welcome screen, and that will come up when you turn the radio on. And then we've just got some radio information here, so it's got the bands that you can receive and transmit on. So that's the programming software. It's very, very simple, quite easy to use, and all of these boxes here, when you close them off, the information will remain saved, and you can just bring them back up as and when. And as I said, as soon as you've programmed in everything that you need, you just click on Program, click on Write, and that will write the data straight to the radio. And as soon as it's done, you can just unplug it and you're ready to go. Okay, so we've got the radio plugged into a power supply now. We've got an antenna plugged in, and we're just going to switch it on. Now, I've programmed this radio up already, so we're in the dual VFO here now, so we've got VFO-A and VFO-B. Now, what you can do is you press memory there, and that will bring up memories on one side, and then just the VFO on the other, so we've got the 2 meter VFO there. So what I can do is monitor my local GB3MR repeater, and also monitor some simplex, which is quite nice. It's got the dual monitor, and both of these will play at the same time. Not much use trying to listen to 2 VFOs, but you can see which one's active. And if you want to switch to a single band, you can just press function and then single, and that will take you to a single band, and then back to dual, and that will take you back to the dual band. If you want to switch between bands within a VFO, you can just press and hold the button there, and that will switch between the various bands. So it's as simple as that. So what we'll do is, you can see there we're switching between the 2 bands. The top knob on the left and right controls the volume, and then the bottom knob on the left and right controls the channel or memory select. So we've got GB3MR here. What we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of a call out. First, I need to put the correct power on, because I programmed this quickly so they're all set to high. But we've got that down to low power now, which is in accordance to my licensing conditions, and we're just going to put a quick call out. M3HHY Mike 3 Hotel Hotel Yankee, listening GB3MR for any calls. Yeah, not so bad, thanks Chris. How are you? Just testing out this Zastone D9000. How's it sounding?
Sounds okay. A tad low on the audio. Yeah, I can't really complain about it.
Is that any better now, Chris?
Yep, that's a little better, Lewis.
Yeah, I wasn't talking to the microphone properly. I had it a little bit far away from my face. I was just setting up the camera. Yeah, it's this. It's one that looks like the Icom 2820. It's analog only, but it's a nice little radio. It's the first QSO I've had on it. What radio are you on?
Yeah, I'm 3HHYM0GG. I'm using the I don't know what it is, FTM100, sorry. The FTM100 in the Fusion set.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. Well, it's sounding good on receive as well, this radio. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. Just programmed it up and that, and just doing the first review on it now. So yeah, it's looking good. You don't fancy a quick simplex, Chris, before you run, do you?
Yeah, no problem, Lewis. If you've got one in mind, so do you want to go on the call frequency? Go from there.
575 was clear before. Do you want to give that a try?
On 2 meters?
Yeah.
Okay, QSY.
M0GG, M3HHY.
Yeah, M3HHY, M0GG. Are you receiving?
Yeah, you're 5 and 9, Chris. 5 and 9.
Well, I must say, your audio has come up a lot on simplex.
Alright, that's good to know. Yeah, that's good to know. I've just got this plugged into the Diamond X50 on the shack roof. It's not on the X300, it's on the V2000, it's on the X50. But yeah, you're solid 5 and 9. I wouldn't expect anything less though, really, Chris. You're only 4 or 5 miles away from me anyway.
Yeah, likewise, you give me a good 5-9. Just do you want to give 70 centimetres a shot or not?
Yeah, 433525.
Okay, QSY M0GG. Is the frequency in use, please, M0GG?
Nope, nothing heard. M3HHY, 5 and 9 again.
Yeah, sorry, I was on full power there. You still getting us okay now?
Yeah, 5 and 9 still. I'm only running 5 watts, Chris, just on the low power setting on this.
Yeah, I'm doing the same myself. Just bear with me, I'm going to get my handheld. Just hold on frequency for 1 minute.
Yeah, no worries, Chris. I'll stand by a second. M3HHY.
033.
Yeah, in and out there, Chris.
Yeah, okay, just on my handheld inside. Okay, I'm going to the main set.
Yeah, you're sort of averaging around a 5 and 5. You're readable, for the most part. Signal 5, but dropping down to nothing.
I just went to walk in the shack and you picked up on the handheld, so I'm just outside the shack and I'm going to be receiving that.
Yeah, you're loud and clear, signal 2.
Not bad as it for the handhelds, really. I know we're not a million miles away, but for inside the house as well. Quite impressive.
Yeah, it is. It's good, Chris. Right, well, I'll say 7.3. I'll let you go, but cheers for jumping on for the test, and I'll catch you further down the log. Mike 0, Oscar Golf Golf, M3HHY. We've got 2 meters on the screen here, so if we just go over to this VFO, we can cycle through here and see if anyone's around. M3HHY, Mike 3 Hotel Yankee, listening for a radio report. Okay, so as always, when you want to demo something, it's quiet on the bands. But yeah, you get the idea of how these VFOs both work independently. As I say, you can go for the single VFO if you don't want to have the dual VFO enabled. Okay, so if you want to access the other bands that this radio receives on, you press function and then single, and that will bring up a single VFO. And you press function and the mode button there, and you can see we've got weather channels. And if you press it again, we've got airband there, we've got FM radio, we've got 27 megahertz there, AM, and we've got our program channel in again as well there. So you can see it's quite handy. We've got a way of cycling through all these bands, and you can literally just, there you go.
Report final number 2. Caution, weight movement recommended distance is 5 miles. Okay, very nice.
So you can see we've got airband received there. If we just go through it again, we've got FM radio. So I'm not sure.
Are you feeling good?
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to Manchester, sign a load of vinyls, say hello to everyone, and then again go over a party.
So that's the FM radio. Actually sounds really good, to be honest. We've got 27 megahertz there. Now I haven't had a proper play around with this. You can change the tuning steps, but I'm not sure what this will do. We've only got a VHF and UHF antenna in here, so we're not going to be picking much up. But we've got the band there should we need it. And then we're back to our program channels here. So yeah, that's how you cycle through the bands. And then just to go back, we just click on function, dual, and you can see we're back on the split VFOs there. So yeah, I just thought that was quite an easy way of cycling through the different bands. So yeah, that's the basic setup and basic navigation. Like I say, we are going to do more videos on this, covering all the features and settings, the repeater side of things, and everything. Actually, while I'm here, what I'll do is I'll just quickly show you how to change the display. So we've got function, we go on menu, and then we go down to display, and we can enter the red there. We can turn that right down, and then if we go to blue and turn that down, you can see we've just got the green one active. If we turn green down and red up, you can see we've got a red light there. It is quite bright, it's just a little bit hard to see with my studio lights, but it's there. And if we turn red down and turn blue back up, we've got a blue backlight, and so on and so forth. If we turn green up there, gives us like a white backlight. So yeah, that's how you change the display on it. We've got dimmer on this, so you can dim the brightness of the light if you want. And it's also got auto dimmer, which you can make the screen LED dim after a certain amount of inactivity, and this is a feature that the ICOM 2820 has as well, but we're going to keep that off. You can just change the contrast on the LCD there as well. And when you're in airband mode, you can just click on memory there, and that will bring in your programmed memory frequencies that you put in the software. Okay, so that was the first video on the Zastone D9000. I wanted to keep these short because it's very easy to do a 25-minute, half-an-hour video on a radio, and I think people tend to switch off. So I'm just going to do this in sections, guys. So the next one will be up very soon. We are going to go into all the repeater settings. We're going to look at the differences between this and the ICOM 2820. We're going to do some on-air radio testing with this and everything like that. So there'll be a few parts of this video, so make sure you stay tuned. But this was part one, just an overview, just to give you an idea of what this radio is all about and how the programming software works. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, suggestions or questions, drop them in the box below. And if you haven't already clicked subscribe, then make sure you click the subscribe button. And all that's left to say is 7-3. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.